Time for the book chat this morning on Wake Up Nigeria. We've got TJ Banwo with over 15 years experience as a project and program manager, management consultant, trainer, coach, mentor, and globally sought after professional speaker. He is the author of No Blacks, No Whites, Just the Human Race. This is the book right here. And it's one that well, first, let me welcome you. Thank you so much for joining us.
Well, it's a pleasure to be here. I'm very, very happy to be here. Thank you.
So you'd have a hard time convincing me that this wasn't your thesis for your doctorate.
Oh, no. It's got nothing to do with my doctorate program, though. I wonder how you know I'm actually undergoing a doctorate program. But
see,
yeah.
I could guess because if you've read this book, you'd have a good understanding of what I mean. So it was meticulously researched and reading as well. It's obvious this is something you really put your soul into. Yeah. And I really appreciated that fact because sometimes you read books that are talking about, okay, they said, he said, but you're able to state the facts and a lot of research went into it. So that's why I was like, I'm suspicious of the fact that it might be your thesis.
Thank you.
But yeah, so No Blacks, No Whites. Let's have you tell us what the book is about.
So first off, the book is personal for me.
I can tell.
Yeah, it's personal. It's like me trying to tell my personal story. And also the story of so many people suffering in silence. So the book was born out of pain, right? I got laid off from a job I was so good at. And it turns out it was all down to the fact that it was my skin color. It was down to the fact that it was the way I speak.
Yeah.
It was down to the fact that I'm Nigerian. It was no fault of mine.
Yeah.
So it was, people trying to put you down, trying to say you're not good at this. But it turns out it had nothing to do with the job. It had to do with you. So I felt, wow, all this pain, you know what? I'm going to put it in a book. So this is me trying to vent. So I just felt, you know what? The best way to get back at that pain is to put it in a book. So yeah, that's it. So but that's where the idea came from. No blacks, no whites.
So it actually started from your personal experience, which had to do with racism, which you disabused here. You said, no, it's not about racism.
Exactly, yeah. I'm trying not to use the word racism.
Yes, that there are different aspects to it and angles as well. And then from there, it went into you talking about even tribalism, xenophobia, breaking it down, sharing your thoughts on it and all. You know, what you said about, being laid off is actually unfortunate yet common for dark, dark complexion people. Yeah. The fact that, so even in the UK, I know somebody personally who didn't get a job despite being better qualified than a Caucasian.
Absolutely.
Last stage, there were two of them, and the other person was picked just because of the color. So it's not synonymous or unique to any part. It's actually something that happens in different parts of the world.
Absolutely.
And then, of course, looking at the content, you were able to mention the different aspects to it. The one that, of course, has relation to me is when you talked about how the media contributes. Yeah. Let's talk about that, how the media contributes to...
Yeah, so talking about the media, right? Give it to the media. They're doing a good job, right? Trying to, enlighten us, trying to educate us. But you also have, especially the social media, so, which is not, will I say, regulated as the mainstream media, right?
Yeah.
So you find out that a lot of people take out there, like I was at an event. It was on X, it was on Twitter, it was on X.
Yeah.
And the Nigerian community in the UK invited a journalist, in the UK, very popular journalist, invited him to say, how come you're always posting negative things about migrants, Nigerians? What about the positives? What about the good things we're doing? The NHS,
how they're contributing to the society.
Exactly, how we're contributing. The NHS in the UK is largely migrants. So if you're telling migrants to return to their country, you're going to suffer. Your people are going to die. So why are you not looking at the positives? I work as a consultant. I train mostly the public sector. There's hardly any public sector agency I've not trained. From healthcare to the military, Royal Air Force. So I'm contributing to the economy. Yeah. So why are you not featuring my own story of people like me? You're only looking at someone that, stabbed a black, an African, a migrant stabbed, So you only look at, so we
And
call
such
them.
stories are usually projected
Exactly.
and sat upon,
Exactly.
and
And
my
then
goodness.
people now take to the street to riot in
Yeah.
Southport, everywhere.
Yeah.
Feature the positive. So we told him, are you promising us you're going to start featuring the positives? He said, yes, I do. It was quite fun. Like, we called him out. Yeah, it was.
And you know, being called out is one thing, and then the result of it. You mentioned the George Floyd incident as well.
Yeah.
Yes,
But
and
but
how.
that's Black Lives Matter.
Yes.
I think it should be all lives matter. But that was one instance, and it's still happening. It's still happening. I have a friend, you know, who happens to be married to a British lady, and he said his girlfriend, before they got married, she shed tears when they were coming back from an outing, and the police stopped them, and it was done because of him, not because of her.
Because of her.
And she feared for unborn children. Wow, what kind of world are they going to live in? So you're profiled. You're profiled.
Yes, that's the word, profiling.
Profiled, you know. Just profiled. That's why I said, is that construct? You know, I tell people I'm not a black person because growing up, it's been that construct of black represents evil.
Yeah.
Black markets, you know, the devil, the demons are blacks, and angels are whites. So how come white
You
people?
mentioned that as well.
Right. So how come white people? So I tell people I'm not black. I'm Nigerian.
You know what's interesting?
Yeah.
There are actually different shades. There's not exactly the black and the whites. They're actually different shades.
Correct.
And you also made reference to the fact that the Chinese suffered this.
Yeah.
The Indians, especially with with the belief that they are mystical.
True.
And then, of course, you also mentioned several other races, in quotes, so to speak. However, let's bring it home to Nigeria, because I like the fact that almost everything you were talking about, you kept referring to the Nigerian situation as well. Most importantly, the boy who was transferred, I think that's Samuel, who was posted to the northern region for his service year, and his reaction, that was also under the media's effect. Tell us more about that.
Yeah, so what I've observed is, you know, I also talked about NYSC and all that. I talked about NYSC. So you realize that, you know, some people, you know, especially in the north, you've lived all your lives in the southern part of Nigeria, and then you go to the north, you still find that you're not accepted. You don't feel like you belong to that society. I served in the east, you know, and I could feel people say things like, "Oh, feel Manu." You know, that's so we've got different terms for people from different places, and that's subtle racism. You see what I'm talking about? I mean, I didn't know for a long time that Mola actually means Malam, and this Malam Nasir Rufai is Mister, but then we use it derogatorily.
Mola.
You see what I'm talking about? So it's the same way, you know, we've got abusive terms for people from certain places. So we don't. So it's just to promote.
But you know, the first time someone said that to me, I actually thought that maybe it's being Yorubanized in quotes.
Yeah.
Like,
no,
you know how
it's derogatory.
It's derogatory.
It's derogatory. And you know, so my book is just exposing a lot of these things. Like I've had people tell me, "How come you speak very good English?" I'm like, "Wow, all right, you've signed up for real talk. Right? I'm going
to school you today."
I'm going to really school you today. It shows you've never been to any part of Africa. You need to visit. And they think Africa is one country. So you're from Africa. Yeah, I am from Africa, but from Nigeria. There are more than 40 countries. Shows how ignorant you are.
So there's a lot to say about the Nigerian situation, but then as you mentioned the country part, I suddenly remember the particular incident where you were given room 419 when you went for a training, and how it got you as an overthinker, thinking to yourself, okay, have I just been profiled? Is it because of fraud? Please tell us about that particular incident.
Okay, so most of the time I travel around because of the work I do, you know, just going to different client side, delivering trainings. And on this particular occasion, I'm not sure which of the cities now, I was given room 419. That was on the 4th floor. I was like, no, this can't be happening. These guys have come to look for me. Like, is there anything to do with the fact that I'm Nigerian?
Did you ask?
No. So I didn't want to take it personal.
Or make it dramatic.
Yeah, because that's another thing. I think we're also conscious. Well, we're usually on defense.
Yes.
We're usually conscious.
You mentioned that.
Yeah. So sometimes we need to be careful. Like I don't know if I cited the other instance where when I moved to Kent at some point in time, they didn't pick my bin, and it turns out I was almost making a case out of it, but it turns out I wasn't doing the right thing. maybe I wasn't bagging it properly.
The right way.
Yeah, so, but I was almost making a case to say, are you guys selectively ignoring my house because I'm Nigerian? I'm a migrant. So that's the point. We also need to calm down. That's what I'm saying.
So, you have a point there because, especially in America, for example, there's always that belief that Black Americans do too much, in quotes. Yeah. But then, of course, it's them because they felt like all their lives they've had to defend themselves or, push themselves harder to be understood, to be seen, to be heard. And just before the conversation started, I observed that you're currently based in Ipswich.
Yeah.
How does it feel for you guys to be back in the Premier League?
Oh, yeah. It feels so good. It's they paint everywhere blue.
Everywhere's painted blue. Wow.
And they're telling some of us that belong to other clubs, you need to just get our jersey,
And it's funny that Sheeran, of course, he lives around there, and he's a co-owner.
Yeah, owner right now.
But his dad is a Chelsea fan.
He's been
really crazy. But it's good to know that you love football as well.
Oh yeah, I do love football. I'm looking forward to actually watching their games, really.
Wow.
And I told them if they can manage to beat the Gunners, the Invincibles, maybe I'm going to decamp.
Okay, that's the end of this conversation. 22 years out of the Premier League and your focus is on... Do you know I'm an Arsenal fan?
Oh,
You're beating more than you can chew. Talking about chewing, yes, we need to go for breakfast right now, but you have beaten more than you can chew. Let's go for breakfast.